Yo, what is good? What is good? What is good, beautiful people? Of course, you know who I be, the good Doc, Dr. Mike TV, back again, once again, with a video that I have been putting off for quite some time. Okay, not gonna lie to you, Doc's been putting this video off for quite some time. In today's video, we're gonna talk about the differences between Filipinas and the differences between American women. So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, before I even start this video, I don't want you to comment in the bottom of the video, well, Mike, what you're saying applies to all women, bro, not just Filipinas, not just this. I know that. But a lot of guys have been asking me, can you tell me some of the differences in your personal experience or your personal opinion where you feel that dealing with westernized American women can be different than dealing with women from the Philippines? And that is what I'm going to give you in today's video. All right? Numero isa. Number one. I find that Filipinas are a lot more emotional than American women, all right? This is probably one of very few countries that I've ever lived in, speaking about the Philippines, wherein you can talk to a girl one day and be her boyfriend the next day. I mean, literally, you can instantly be in a relationship with Filipinas like that because Filipinas have very, very intense emotions, and when they get attached, they get attached. I kind of feel that Filipinas fall in love quicker than American women. Now, this is not to say that you can't have one night stands in the United States or dealing with American women, because of course you can. But with those one night stands, you can have intimacy with the particular young lady and there not be any feelings attached. I have found it extremely difficult to have intimacy with a Filipina without her having some type of feeling or attachment to you. I'm not saying that it won't happen. I'm just saying that in comparison to women from the West, I can honestly feel that it is almost close to impossible to have a one night stand with a Filipina and for her not to have some attachment to you, try to call you, try to hit you up a lot the next day prior, as opposed to a young lady in the United States that's okay with the idea of having a no strings attached type of relationship. You'll find that more in the US than you'll ever find in the Philippines. But also when it comes to the emotional aspect, the intensity of a relationship or the intensity of a Filipina's emotion, I have found that they do love hard. They love quick and they love hard. So when they're with you, they ride for you. If this is a real thing for them, they will be attached to you. They will cry a lot, probably a lot more than women in the West in a particular relationship. They will be a little bit more emotionally intense in the relationship, especially if they feel hard for you. I am not saying that women in the West can't get attached like that. I am just saying that if you compare the majority of women in the Philippines to the majority of women in the West, you're going to find that Filipinas are a lot more intense with the relationship. They are very emotionally committed to the relationship, and they can do so at such a rapid rate, at such a fast pace. Quite honestly, I've never seen a woman in the United States be in a relationship with a guy the day they meet them or the day after they meet them, a couple hours after meeting, consider themselves in a relationship. But with a Filipina, it can be just that easy. Whether it is just a fictitious love that they've created for themselves or the words that the foreigners have said to them to make them feel like they're in love, regardless of how you slice it, Filipinas seem to be more emotionally attached and more emotionally invested in particular relationships and at a faster pace. Again, it could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. It could be a good thing wherein you can feel that that woman is willing to do anything and everything for you, whatever or regardless, whatever relationship requires. Again, if you piss her off, you fuck her over, that emotional attachment can turn into craziness, ladies and gentlemen. Not talking specifically about tempo in particular, but tempo is a thing that is connected with the emotional aspect of Filipinas. For those that don't know, please Google tempo, T-A-M-P-O. I don't feel like explaining it because we've done that quite a lot on this particular channel, but what I have learned is that if you piss off a Filipina, ladies and gentlemen, you might want to sleep with one eye open, okay? I wouldn't let that woman cook for me for a couple of days if you really pissed her off. You know, I don't want nobody poisoning me. And I'm just saying that to be funny, but I'm saying that to be real. The emotional attachment, the connection that Filipinos have to their man, I'm telling you, it could be a good and a bad thing. Only from the bad aspect, if you do something to piss her off or fuck her over, it could end very bad. I'm not saying that it couldn't end very bad with a woman from the States, but I kind of feel like a woman from the States will confront you about things like cheating or whatever. You do something to piss her off, she'll get in your face and she'll try to fight you like a man type shit, which we'll get into later on in the video. But I feel like they're more confrontational in the West. In the Philippines, sometimes they're a little bit quiet. Like, you can gloss over a very, very bad situation. But I feel like Filipinos have a tendency to keep it in until it explodes. And when it explodes, oh my God, does it explode, ladies and gentlemen? That's what I will say. It does explode. So as a foreigner in a relationship with a Filipina, please encourage her to express her emotions, please. And you may think, oh, Mike, you thinking from a Western mentality. No, motherfucker, I'm thinking of it from a way of saving yourself from potentially having somebody poison your food and low-key try to, like, fucking chop you up in pieces or some stuff. Because, again, emotions can make women do crazy things. That emotion can turn to crazy real fast. All right? So that's number one. I feel like Filipinos are a lot more emotionally invested, or Filipinos are a lot more emotional in relationships, probably a little bit more so than women in the West. All right? Number two. Filipinos have a tendency to be a lot more deceptive. I think that if a Filipina has patience, her long-term game, whatever her long-term goal is, getting you to get her pregnant, getting a green card, whatever it may be, I feel like some of them have the tendency to be a lot more deceptive in the way in which they carry themselves. I may have spoke about the emotional aspect of Filipinas in the beginning, but for those that are able to suppress that, for those that are able to suppress and hold that in, and hold down that emotion, they're very, very deceptive from time to time. They can do some things that you may not find out about or may find surprising in the end. You may not know she got a boyfriend on the side or she's dating some local dude while she's dating you because you think that you got it all sewed up. Has everything to do with the man's mentality more so than the Filipina's mentality, but I kind of feel like some foreigners have a tendency to overlook a lot of things in a relationship, and because they do, the deception is allowed to go underneath the radar. Alright? Now, like I said, the Filipinas, in my opinion, are a lot more deceptive than women in the West. Women in the West can be deceptive, but kind of feel like there's seemingly a manipulative aspect about the deception of some Filipinas, more specifically the bad ones, of course, wherein they can convince guys to do all kinds of things. Yeah, you might call that guy a simp or whatever, but the deception behind the tears and things like that, the emotional aspect that they kind of throw out there could make a guy do some really interesting things if he is just as emotionally invested in a relationship as she is. Again, with the deception part, they definitely have a tendency to... it's very hard to explain or give an example of, but I know the deception that I'm speaking of. Let me try to get this right. I'm trying to find the best way to define the deception or give a best example of how Filipinos are deceptive. I think, like I said, having a boyfriend on the side and you not knowing about it, but the utilization of their tears, like I mentioned before, I think that really does kind of make, even though they may not be feeling a certain kind of way, the fact that they can draw those tears real quick, yeah, that's a deceptive factor. All right, moving on to number three, numero tatlo. You do have some Filipinas that are very impatient with the finesse or impatient with the long game. And I've learned that over time that Filipinas who are impatient or Filipinas who want to try to get a foreigner's attention, or they want to try to get something out of the foreigner, aka money, they have a tendency to ask for it too fast. So if you have it in your head that a Filipino is probably going to potentially try to scam you or try to get money out of you, what tends to happen is you're just waiting for her to ask. I think probably 2, 3, 4 months into the relationship or whatever you want to call it, you're probably still expecting her to ask you for something. Probably about a year or so down the line, if she asks after a year, you may be more lenient towards giving and or providing said money because you've been in a relationship with her for a while. But I feel like the impatience of a Filipina will have them coming out and asking for money real quick. Like, oh, I need help now, because they need the money now. They're not willing to play the long game. So Although there are some that can be sneakily deceptive and play the long game to get the green card, you have some where their impatience or the need for something in the moment will cause them to basically show their hand before it needs to be shown. I think in reference to women in the West, I don't think you're really gonna have a problem with the deception aspect of it. I don't really know if they are as deceiving as I've found Filipinas to be. Most of the time, you can look at a certain chick and be like, well, yeah, I'm pretty sure she's only with me for my money. So it's almost as if, there is no secrets or no surprise, or there's no an oh wow moment wherein you're expecting her to be like, oh well, I kind of knew this money game was coming, or I kind of knew that she was going to ask me for something, because that was what the relationship was built upon. A Filipina will probably try to convince you in a deceptive way that the relationship is built upon her love and affection for you. Then she'll ask for money. That's the deception aspect, but because they ask for money too soon, kind of crumbles and, comes apart relatively early on, especially if they're impatient. So the impatient ones will definitely show their hand a whole lot quicker. Okay? Now, moving on to number, what are we at? 4. I find Filipinas to be very giving. All right, they're very giving. They have a very giving nature. They have a very nurturing nature. They have this ability to want to take care of, an ability to show responsibility in, being in the relationship, being a good girlfriend. They really do share in some of that responsibility, probably a whole lot more than you might find in women in the West. I think that women in the West have a more give me approach. Like, it's more or less, oh, you should be happy to be in a relationship with me type with women in the West. All right. In the Philippines, most Filipinas are not like that. Most of them are happy and satisfied being in a relationship. Some of them are very insecure. So they need to be reassured, that just because you are a foreigner from the Western world, I like you, I want to be with you, etc., etc. So you have the insecurities of most Filipinos that aren't really as they're not really sure of their value towards the foreigner, whether they're just trying to pick them up or sleep with them or not. So they need the constant reassurance of it. Again, it goes towards the not necessarily the deceptive aspect, but sometimes Filipinos don't know their worth. So you'll have some that'll question a relationship based off of that. And again, once they realize that you're real with them, they're very giving, they're very selfless. All right? That's the best way to put it. I find Filipinos to be very selfless, Western women to be very selfish. And I'm going to leave it at that. I find Western women to be selfish. Filipinas very selfless. They're willing to give. All right, best way to put it. I don't think I can describe it in any other way. All right, moving on to the last one. And this one is no secret. It's been talked about in a multitude of different videos. I know I'm sweating. Give me a minute. But Filipinas have a tendency to be a lot more feminine than Western women. There have been a lot of Filipinas that have come on to platforms and spoke about this. They've come onto YouTube as a platform and spoke about this. And to an extent, overall, if we're talking about in the general sense, not just talking about a limited group or a chosen few, overall, I would find that Filipinas have a lot more of a feminine aspect to their demeanor and who they are as individuals than American westernized women do. I'm not talking about a chick who just likes to throw on sweatpants and a tee from time to time because it's comfortable. A chick who likes to wear J's and a pair of jeans and a white tee. I'm not talking about a chick, I'm not saying that you have to wear a dress all the time, but you have a lot of manly type of women in the West. A whole lot more than you find in the Philippines. There are some tomboys in the Philippines. Let's not overlook that. There are quite a few tomboys in the Philippines. Those women who have the short haircuts, dress like men, because they are probably lesbian. Most of them are. Yeah. Anyways, you have some that may dress like that, but, for overall, there's a more feminine aspect. There are women who, in the West, God bless their souls, that are very manly in their approach. Very, very manly in their approach. So much so that even I question whether you like dudes or you like women. I do. That's the truth. I feel like I constantly find myself questioning since I've been back home, and I find myself constantly questioning, is she into guys or is she into girls? You know, by the way that they dress and the way that they talk and the way they carry themselves. And sometimes it's the latter. Sometimes, well, yeah, the first part, I'm sorry. They're into guys. They just grew up around a bunch of dudes, so they have a tomboyish mentality about themselves. And then the latter, sometimes you just like girls, all right? So I kind of find that the confusion aspect of the feminine nature of women in the West, it's a confusing thing because the new norm of feminism is just not there. I think the world has been changed by the hashtag Me Too movement. The world has been changed by this whole equal rights, equal pay stuff. And I don't want to get into those particular sensitive subjects because, you know, the social justice warriors will probably come for my throat. Not my throat, but the thoke. The T-O-H, the T-O-K-E, sorry, the thoke. But I will say this. That particular aspect and those particular narratives have changed the dynamic of women in the West. And I've learned that what's happening is these women are believing that in order to be able to participate, in order to be able to be a part of society, they have to be able to compete with the males. And in the thought of being able to compete with the males, they're finding themselves transitioning their mindset into a more man mindset, making them more mannish in their appearance, more mannish in their mannerisms, more mannish in their behaviors, their attitudes, the way in which they choose to carry themselves. And I'm feeling like as a result they're losing. They losing a lot of their feminine ways. And again, everybody wants to talk about how this is the new times. Everybody wants to talk about how this is the new norm, how you've lost the world wherein women were the caretakers of the house and the men were making the money. Now women are out there in the workforce working and doing this stuff. And I get it. Doc gets it. I'm not gonna sit here and act as if you ain't got every right to be out there in the workforce. Hell, when my young lady comes, she gonna be out there working with y'all too. Shit, I ain't gonna have her ass at home. Shoot. I said we could take care of the house how it needs to be taken care of, but yo, 2 checks has always been better than one. So she gonna be out there with y'all too, but I don't want anybody to believe that you gotta feel like you gotta try to compete with men. And I feel like that competition of women with men in the West has really caused them to lose the part about them that really makes us fall in love with them. I love the soft, sensitive chick. I do. I love a woman that will allow the man to be the man in the relationship. And I feel like that is a lost art in the United States of America, in the Western world. It's a lost art. I feel like the idea that a man is supposed to accept a woman either way she turns out has allowed women to just say, fuck it, I can look how I want to, well, you're supposed to accept me. Now, let me not get into the deepness of it, because again, acceptability is for real. It's supposed to be there. But again, if you're not willing to take care of yourself, like for example, if you're just going to allow yourself to balloon up, ladies, and you know, you don't expect your man to look at you differently. Again, he gonna love you regardless, probably. But if you're not willing to at least take care of yourself because you expect the man to just love you regardless and, you know, all this stuff, it kind of becomes difficult because you have to look at it from the man's mindset. I mean, damn, you don't love me enough to be able to take care of you. You're just like, well, damn, I'm supposed to look like this. This is the way I'm going to look. And you better accept me. Or if you don't, fuck you, go to hell or some shit like that. I'm like, you don't take enough pride in your appearance to want to look good for your man? Hell, remember the old Destiny's Child song, Cater to You? She said, I'm gonna keep my figure right or some shit. Kelly said that shit in the song, remember? Y'all like Destiny's Child? I made a video about them a while back, but in hindsight, I just want you guys to ladies, I'm sorry, not you guys. I'm giving y'all, I'm doing it myself. But I want you ladies to understand in the West that if you really want to know why you might be losing a lot of your men, because I'm the type of dude, I don't want to date a dude. I don't want a woman that's going to combat me at every turn. I want a woman that will allow me to be the man in the relationship. And I kind of feel like Just me only. This is an opinion. I'm not speaking for all men. I'm speaking for me, Dr. Mike TV. I kind of feel like that might be one of the major contributing factors to why a lot of men are choosing to go elsewhere, because it's not so much that they're scared of you, but it's the simple fact that you don't let a man be the man in the relationship. By that I mean let the man make the decisions. All right? Let the man be the primary breadwinner. Let him play his part and do his, and play his part and play his role. All he needs you to do is play yours. But I kind of find out that a lot of women aren't willing to be accepting of their roles. It's always, oh, all you try to do is put me down. All you try to do is put women down. No, baby, that is not the truth. I want to build us up together. Just let me play my part as a man. And I kind of feel like that might be the reason why, not necessarily just Filipino women, but that's why they're choosing to date whether it be outside the race, if you want to talk about race, outside the culture, if you want to talk about the Western culture. Why they choose to date outside of this is because women have lost the accountability for wanting to be able to take care of themselves. And I know I'm going to get my ass killed for this. I know. I'm just already waiting for it. For the most part, women have lost the accountability. They don't care about a lot of things anymore because they feel like men are just supposed to accept them for the way that they are. And I kind of feel like that can sometimes be a turnoff. That's all. That's all. So, I mean, don't take it to heart, baby. I mean, there are still some very beautiful women in the West. Shoot. Don't get it twisted, okay? Don't get it twisted. It just seems that a lot of the girls that I'm attracted to seem to not be from around this way. I just realized that. But it's like the coronavirus, man. People are trying to push this new norm on us, and for a lot of guys, I don't know how many guys are willing to accept it. I mean, I think where I really lose out on a lot of my desire to want to be with Western women is the simple fact that I can't deal with a woman that's gonna try to fight me like a man. Okay? I can't deal with it. And it has nothing to do with being a strong woman. It has nothing to do with me being scared of strong women. It has everything to do with the fact that I don't want you pushing on me. I don't want you putting your hands on me, and I damn sure don't want you trying to slap me. All right? That's where I kind of have to draw the line, because, like, I'm very sensitive, and I don't appreciate anybody putting their hands on me like that. I don't care if I'm in a relationship with you or not. And then, heaven forbid, I respond to you like a man because you want to approach me like a man. Who going to jail? Who getting in trouble? This guy. So rather than put myself in a situation like that, I'd rather back out of the situation. But sometimes, ladies, you don't like to let us back out of situations, and that kind of puts us in a position to where we have to try to defend ourselves by possibly doing something of a physical nature, whether that be just lightly brushing you away or something like that, and then we all get in trouble. My father once told me this, and I'm gonna leave you with this, all right? My father told me, Mike, if you ever find yourself in a relationship wherein you even have the slightest thought of putting your hands on your woman, run away from that relationship as fast as possible, because it's only going to end bad. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you feel like you might be forced or pushed to the point where you have to physically put your hands on your woman to get her away from you or to get her off of you, run away from that relationship as fast as humanly possible. There is no way in hell it's going to end good for you. And that's what I live by. So when I shut down on women who try to argue with me when I be at work doing my thing, everybody wants to try to like confront me about some nonsense. When I shut off, I'm doing it for a reason. I always told myself I ain't never getting in no argument with no female. I learned a long time ago, I'm not arguing with women. You ain't gonna win. So you better off just shutting off, just letting it go. And that's what I do. It has nothing to do with any form of disrespect. It's just me protecting myself and, just trying to bow out gracefully without there being any issue. And I know this video took a hell of a wrong turn, didn't it? Excuse me, but it is what it is. Doc's just gonna be real. All right, this video is far too long. But that's just my truth, ladies and gentlemen. If you wanted to know the reasons why I personally feel a lot of guys choose to date in the East rather than in the West, or a lot of guys choose to date outside the culture, these are my reasons why. Ladies, have at it. If you want to kill me for it, or you want to come for my head, or you want to try to cancel me, or you want to do this, I respect your right to do so. I'm not a big enough channel to be canceled. So, and quite frankly, I don't have a lot of women who watch me anyways. If you want to call me a fat, ugly, black MFer, oh, you can't get women in the West, oh, you're just dating outside the culture because you can't get a woman in the West, or oh, you this, or oh, you that, oh, you save yourself, black man, you're a red pill, or whatever you want to call me. Just have at it, man. Sharing your grief, because I know you're gonna give it to me, and I respect your right to do so. I'm just telling you to go ahead and have at it. Back at it like a crack addict, because Doc could be back at this tomorrow. Probably. It is what it is, man. This is just my truth, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope that you have appreciated the honesty, the brutal honesty. Because trust me, I know a lot of beautiful, beautiful women in the West that could potentially be great, great mates. I see it every day. I just feel like the culture overall, it's just moving in a bad way. It's the overall culture, not just the chosen few. That's why when I say in this particular video that I'm speaking about the culture as a whole, the Philippine culture as a whole, the westernized culture as a whole, I'm not picking and choosing what women and what culture and this is the reason why I'm choosing this over this. I'm not pinpointing or picking out. I'm speaking about the overall broad stroke general consensus that a lot of foreigners may have and that a lot of Filipinos are seeing. But Filipinas, before I leave, okay? Before I leave, let me say this, okay? Because this does not give any woman the right to feel a little bit above themselves, okay? I will note this. Filipinas, don't allow yourself to get the big head with the foreigner, okay? Just don't, okay? Because as easily as we get you, you can be replaced too. I want you to note that. I want you to continue to hold on to the characteristics and the aspects that your average foreigner falls in love with. The minute you lose that, your real ones, not your simple ones, but your real ones will replace you very fast. Very fast. Okay, so don't allow yourself to get the big head. Make sure you know too that this isn't just me bigging up you without you taking some accountability too. All right, this is just one foreign man speaking his truth who has dated women in the West, who have dated women in the East. Plain and simple. And this video is effing long, and y'all probably gonna be mad, but y'all be all right. All right. With that being said, the good doc is officially out. I at least knuckle paalam, which means I gotta go. Bye bye. As always, love you guys. Mawakita, mabuhay. Peace.